Uh, Good morning, everyone. Thanks for being here.
Oh,
I'm Sumedh Kasare. I'm the product manager of Netex LearningCloud. And today I'm going to talk about building high impact learning culture. Well, there is an interesting thing that happened in 2012. Britannica, mammoth of a publication house, shuts its press, and after 244 years in 2012. And last year, in 2018, mid 2018, they launched a Chrome extension for Google. It's, just look at this move. A publishing house, that mammoth, has moved into information technology and created one small extension for Chrome. Now, of course, it's an excellent move. They are contextualizing their assets to the latest new world requirements. However, it's kind of confusing to see such a big organization doing something like this. On the other hand, hardly 9-year-old Airbnb Uber is already testing self-driving cars, and Airbnb is giving a run for money to global hotel industry. What's happening here? No, we are living in the most exciting and equally challenging times. This is the fourth industrial revolution, as Carl Schwab terms it, the founder of World Economic Forum. Now, the first industrial revolution was focused on the steam engine, the invention of steam engine, and it powered all the manufacturing, and the textile industry came in. The second industrial revolution was about mass production using electricity, steel, oil, and the third industrial revolution was about semiconductors, personal computers, internet, the digital revolution as we refer to it. Lastly, now what we are experiencing is a completely different industrial revolution. Now, what it focuses on is 3D printing, nanotechnology, biotechnology, artificial intelligence. A lot of things are happening. But however, humankind has always seen so many industrial revolutions and has coped up with so many challenges. What's so different about this thing? There are two things that are very different about these things. One is the velocity, the pace that this revolution is moving with, and the scope of this revolution, how much it is penetrating our day-to-day lives, how technology is penetrating our lives. Here is an example about that. So, typically, how much time does it take to get 50 million users to use any particular technology? So historically, look at the timelines. For a telephone, it took 75 years. For air industry, airplanes, 68 years. For bulb, 46. For television, 22. And look at the other side now. YouTube, 4 years. Facebook, 3 years. Whereas Twitter, only 2 years. And what do you think about these people? Any guesses? Sir? 35 days. And that's what the speed of this technology is doing to us. It's changing our behaviors. So, technological disruption has led to an unprecedented volatility in the market. Organizations are expected to have business agility, wherein business directions could change overnight. What happened with Britannica is an example. Now, to achieve that, they need to have a workforce that rapidly adapts to change. This is the most important thing. We want to build a workforce of future, which is ready for the future, should be able to change things. Now, what are the challenges of this thing? Changing business requirements on a daily basis almost. Secondly, shrinking half-life of knowledge. Imagine earlier, typically university curriculums were valid for 10 years. I studied in a university where the syllabus was repeated for 10 years, and they did not change the textbooks, they did not change anything, because knowledge was valid for 10 years. Today, this shelf life of knowledge has shrunk to not even hardly 1 year or 2 years, especially with technology. Thirdly, employee engagement. Now, organizations are struggling to engage their employee. It's not only learner engagement, it's the employee should feel like the organization is investing in them. So it's obvious that employee training would be crucial in these times, and so many surveys indicate the same. However, the question is, are the traditional ways of corporate learning enough to cope up to the challenges of today. This side is the traditional learning, e-learning. It's packaged, it's one way, it's linear, it's formal, and it's fixed. Whereas today's learning requirements on a work day, you typically find, you have a problem, you find the solution, you apply it, right? So it's completely different. The learning requirements are find, apply, and perform. It's performance focused. So Netex has been always innovating to solve the problems in a unique way, and we wanted to solve these challenges too. So this is what we did. We wanted organizations to move from just delivering learning, to actually inculcate, create a learning culture. And so while designing the new version of LearningCloud, we analyzed some core aspects of organizational learning. Individual, the community. Learning has been always social, informal. We wanted to harness that. And of course, the culture part of it. And culture is not a responsibility of learning and development team only. It's the responsibility of the organization. And they need to value learning. They need to take efforts. They need to imbibe the growth mindset, meta learning, how to learn something, where to find things. That's also a part of culture. And continuous learning, that's the most important thing. So here is what we came up with. The latest version of LearningCloud. We're really proud that it found a place in Fosbe's 9 grid of learning systems in 2019 as a solid performer. It's an NGLE platform, next generation. So let's see how next generation ready we are. Most important thing, your learners today are different completely. They are like you as well. So they are used to consuming technology. Earlier, during the early days of e-learning, technology was the first barrier, and we were trying to just get people getting used to it. The instructional design was focusing on giving instructions to the user where to click. Click this button to go next. Have you ever done that with your smart devices? Ever? Have you taken any pre-training with your smart devices? Ever? No. You just purchase it, and you start using it. How? There are no buttons to push next. There are touch screens and everything. So your learner's experience has changed tremendously and substantially. They are expecting something else from your learning platform. And the traditional systems are not going to cope up with that. And that's the first thing that we focused on. We completely made it user-centric, learner-centric. Another important thing we wanted to improve was the traditional experience with managing learning. The clunky clutter of managing learning management systems. We wanted to remove that. We wanted to make it as easy as posting a post on Facebook or putting it in a LinkedIn blog, adding a video, adding an image, or something like that. And that's what we did. There is a demo session in H10 in the demo zone. Please have a look at. Please visit, and you will see the power of this learning builder that we have built in. So LearningCloud was focusing on helping you implement all the latest learner-centric trends, which requires this kind of agility in workflow management of the training. So micro-learning, social learning, if you want to implement need-based learning, on-demand learning, gamification, all these things were part of our consideration when we were designing this thing. Another important thing I just spoke about, social learning. Now, we focused on what learners actually learn from, and it's a reality that majority of learning happens outside the formal learning. Right now, people are following LTUK hashtag everywhere and learning things. They are not here. They want to know. They don't want to know only the information, but about the insights. And experts are giving insights here, and it is being relayed at the same time. So no more delivering, it's streaming already. So we are moving from delivering to streaming, and that's what we wanted to do as well. So this is how we did it. We added a social layer to our learning platform. Imagine the things that you can do with a simple comment section under a learning resource. You can ask the learners to debate, argue, analyze, rewrite, create another level of learning with this kind of social features, and that's what we added. Well, gamification, of course it is important to have gamification. It was a trend since last 4 or 5 years, but we went beyond that trend. We are not using it as a gimmick or something. We are actually using game mechanics which mean something. Measuring the impact of learning, it's important to know that today's every content consuming platform, Netflix or Airbnb or any other platform that your learners are using, they are data driven. People want to learn your behaviors and then change and improve, and that's what we wanted to do. We wanted to measure what matters. Hence, we have actionable dashboards, engagement index, sprint visits, activity reports, along with integration with Power BI tools and Google Analytics. So, now I'm going to share something really interesting with you guys. It's one of our biggest success story right now. And we're really happy that we were a part of this success story as LearningCloud was used in this one. So this is a story about an L&D department which disruptively changed the whole learning scape of Santander Bank. And that's what I'm going to share with you. All right. Santander is a global bank of the year 2017 by Banker magazine. With more than 18,000 employees in Mexico, Santander's challenges in terms of product service and compliance training were the same that most of the organizations suffer today. Their existing training was reactive. Although it was serving the need to impart knowledge, it was not learner-centric at all. Employees considered the training without a context, too long and not engaging. Obviously, there was a common sentiment across the teams that, and you must be aware of these things. Now, the training does not work. There was a clear need to renew their strategies, adopt efficient practices, and implement innovative tools capable of providing flexibility and adaptability. Enters Academia MX, a revamped version of the existing L&D department. Academia MX Santander decided to part away from the traditional institutionalized learning ways and do a complete rethinking of their training model. And this is what they did. Instead of restricting only to knowledge delivery, Academia MX decided to imbibe a culture of learning in the organization. Now, in their new learning model, what the learner was at the center stage. The content design, the content delivery was focused on the learner, and they gave a perspective to the learner of the self-development. They used social learning as well, it's community, and then they moved on to create a learning culture. Of course, all of them required certain things. So although the content design and delivery was focused on learner, there was community building. Organizational policies played an important role there as well, because culture is not something that L&D alone can implement. It was the perspective of the organization. They wanted a growth mindset to be imbibed in their learners, and that's where the organizational policies changed. They started making sure that learning is valued, but that's not enough. All these things were not enough. And there is most important piece that usually most of the organizations miss, which Mexico Santander did not. And this is what it is. Sorry. I want to go back to that slide. Communication. Learning is communication as well, but you have to treat your learners like consumers. Unless and until you do that, you will never be able to reach to them. And that's what they did. They used communication plan. They had a digital marketing team focusing on the learners, and I'm going to talk about that very soon. So, they created a very simple yet very, very effective model. It's attention, retention, and satisfaction. Now, communication, learning platform, and analytics were the part that were the tools that they used. How did they use that? Okay. Pull, not push. How do you create that impact? How do you do that? First and foremost, they had a communication strategy in place. They used every possible media to communicate to the learners the perspective of self-development. It was not about, hey, you have to complete the training. No. This might help you perform better. That was the message that they delivered in a very aggressive and a very, very innovative manner. They used a very consumer-driven marketing with the help of dedicated digital marketing team. They used email campaigns, intranet, radio, and a lot more things. I want to show you some of their, although it's in Spanish, but they're really interesting. These are some of the posters, some of the marketing materials that they developed. And the response. Now, what happened with that? They started with a pilot phase in April 2018. The target users were 150 enrollments. All of these enrollments, most importantly, were supposed to be completely voluntary, not mandatory. Nothing was mandatory. Okay, and what the impact was: 2,500 voluntary enrollments. They created that environment that is required for imbibing a learning culture. Humongous response. They had to actually stop enrollments for some time as they were not prepared for this thing. However, the next step was much harder: retention. Okay, now, although pooling learners worked superbly with their creative marketing campaigns, Academia MX was well aware that to retain learners, learning platform will have to be equally innovative and aligned to their disruptive strategy. And we are really more than happy that they chose Netex's LearningCloud for doing this amazing thing that they used it. So how did we work together? So Academia MX focused on a content design which was completely new. They used videos, they used questionnaires, they used interactive presentations. All of them can be created in the platform itself. They did not shy away from curating content. They extensively used YouTube videos, they used external resources to provide the relevant information. What it did is created a really agile workflow, so they could churn out the learning content really fast. They did not need to rely on an external provider or something. 50% of the content was created by their own team of learning consultants and learning designers. So once this was done, they used another important thing for the learner motivation. They used narrative gamification. So they used the gamification capabilities of LearningCloud in a very interesting manner. So if you see, they have used storytelling as the main hook for telling all those things. So this is one of the sprints that they have used, and these are the contents. However, the gamification used in Academia MX was completely different than normal. It was not used as a gimmick. They wanted to give it a real life meaning, and what they did is another really interesting thing. They gave those badges, those rankings that the learners were earning, a real life meaning to them. The top 60 winners of that campaign were invited in January, I think, in January, to a one-day event, exclusive event for those winners of those badges, where they were recognized and rewarded. Okay, there was a special tour arranged for these things. Now imagine the kind of peer pressure it might have created in all the learners, that okay, those 60 get to go somewhere. So certainly they created that environment. All these badges were linked with open badges of Mozilla project, so that they were able to share these badges with the social media and everything. Lastly, now they are planning to take this gamification to another level. All these badges will be an eligibility criteria to apply for internal vacancies in their organization, and that's a great thing. You're taking gamification to another level altogether. Content delivery was very short spanned. They focused on a specific targeted timeline. They delivered, people made the training and moved on. So it was very agile workflow. And the content was not too much. It was kind of micro-learning. I don't want to get into the definition of micro-learning. It's quite vague. But the focus was about resources and not courses. This is one of the testimonials from the user. And it's really interesting as far as social learning is concerned. What Jesus says here is that he liked because they connected more than 10,000 people on here from various cities and various branches. What he says here is really interesting, that it was a learning experience to connect with these people and all that. There are some of the learning units in Academia MX that has more than 8,000 comments. Imagine the kind of enrichment and the kind of social activity and engagement happening there. Here are some dashboards showing how learning campaigns fared. So if you see 160, 98% completed. The date was July 24 to Jan 31st in 6 months. Engagement index is around 34.8. That was the participation of the learners. If you see, most of them have more than 400, here 445 comments, 275 comments, around 53 comments there. Uh, this is something that was really working out. Now, what was the impact? So here is the data from the Power BI, and this is where they measured all these things. If you see total till December, total enrolled users 9,762, active users 6,791, and look at the active users. 69.57% users were active. More than 8,000 users completed the training by December 2018. This was the daily access and all that. This was the most important thing, to learn what the behavior of the learner was, how they were learning, when they were learning, what were their visits, how they access the platform, weekly access patterns and all that. That gave them tools to manage these things as well. Final impact. By December 2018, attention, 8,000 plus employees enrolled to the program. Retention, 59% obtained badges, completed the training, enrolled to them. And satisfaction, average rating, because LearningCloud allows learners to rate and give quantitative rating as well as reviews. So they can add a review on this one. And consistently, right now, the satisfaction has been 4.6 out of 5. So 4.6 stars out of 5. This is like a dream come true for an L&D team, I would say. So here is what is happening now. This is the latest one. So this is starting from 2nd February till yesterday, 13th February, today, 13th February. Total number of users enrolled 10,868, massive. 79 total learning units are working. Average rating has gone up 4.78. And look at the finished in progress, almost this data is showing how many people have already completed these things, and how many of them are recommended and how many of them are mandatory. These are the top rated contents. And if you see there somewhere, look at the number of comments there, around 8,511 comments, 6,883 comments. And this kind of activity on the learning from the social side is keeping the content alive, and that is really interesting. This is what is happening there today. Oh, right. And here is the comparison between the two. We broke the span from April till Jan. So from April to 31st August, the blue line shows how the engagement picked up. And now from 1st September to 31st Jan, look at the engagement of the learners moving way up, shooting high, really high. So this is really massive achievement for Academia MX. Right. So here are the 5 takeaways from this success story. Most important, decide your learning strategy first. Although I belong to a learning technology company, I'm saying again, decide your learning strategy first and let it choose the learning technology that aligns with your strategy. Secondly, communication plays a very important role. Treat your learners as your consumers. Do not treat them as learners. Thirdly, focus learners and give them context. Important thing is context, challenge, and growth path. Then measure what matters. Knowledge and behavior are the 2 things that are most important to be managed, to measure, and not the scores, not the time spent, not the duration. That's just proving the impact of learning in a very traditional way. Right now we have to focus on overall satisfaction of learners, because the impact is going to be there. You will have tools to measure them. LearningCloud provides those tools as well. And lastly, implement iteratively. Go pilot. Do not implement everything in one go. Go iteratively and improve continuously by the data evidence that you're going to get from the tools. So focus on the data, learn from it, and improve it. So these were the 5 top takeaways. And now, lastly, to give you some really interesting news, today we have officially launched our all-new mobile app. It's on Android. You can try it out. And I have the product owner, Hosman, with me, and we want to show you really one interesting feature. It's hot, right from the oven. So we are going to show it to you exclusively. So Hosman, take over. All right.
Hi, good morning. As Sumedh has just said, we have just launched LearningCloud for all mobile devices. Right now it's on Android, but we are just with, I don't know, maybe 1-2 weeks we are on the iOS version.
Oh, it's going to be there.
Yeah.
Very soon, yes.
I want to show you if Sumedh wants me.
Yes, I'm going to just organizing these things for you.
I have here my
Sorry.
mobile device with the LearningCloud app. is running on Android. I have to just log in with my username. I'm a student right now. When you access LearningCloud, you have one thing that we just... You have to click the X.
Sorry?
The right, on the right, on the right. No, the X. Yeah, the X.
This one?
Yes. Click OK. X.
Okay. This is MI2?
Yes, this is the MI2.
Sorry, we just tested it.
Click on the X. On the
there?
up.
Yeah.
Okay, let me just unplug it.
Try it now.
Click on the reload button. Life problems, you know.
I'll close it again and
Yeah,
start
try
it
it.
again. Bear with us, really sorry. This is but this is worth waiting for sure.
Yeah. View. Yeah, this is it.
There?
Yeah.
Okay, there we have.
Okay, so I just have here the LearningCloud Android app. We have something that we call channels. This is a way to gather all the micro-learning pills that we have in just the same topic. You can have here maybe 100 or 1,000 items in here. And when you go to a channel and you want to search something, it might be difficult to find what you're looking for. But we just added this functionality here. Sumedh, if you come here with me, I want to take a picture of the Sumedh t-shirt.
Whoa.
Okay. With the logo of Netex and the cloud. And when it's able to recognize tags using that image that we just take the picture a second ago, and he told me what sprints that matches that tags if you want to go directly to the sprint. This is the micro-learning, this is the learning that I want to go, and he just uses the image labeling and the EA, the image recognition, and the artificial intelligence to gather all the sprints that matches with that tag. This is the fourth revolution, as Sumedh has said, and we just want to make this thing available for everyone, and hope you enjoy. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Usman. Really interesting. So imagine what all you can do with this kind of feature when moving to mobile learning. It will be a tool for performance support, not for learning. It can be a tool for performance support. And that's what we are aiming at. Thank you so much. Now, lastly, I think we're done here, almost. So, all right, we are right there. If you want to know more about the platform, you want to do some, you want to test some of the things, even the Android app, we are right there, right behind you in Netex. And also, we are going to have a demo session in the demo zone, E10. Please come there at around 1. You will be able to see all the things and all the amazing things that LearningCloud can do. Thank you so much. If there are any questions, let me know. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.